Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome to this week's edition of Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you every week, every Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. on Bright House Cable 49. We've been on the air for 8 years. We want to thank Bright House Cable for providing the support, and also IADT School, which is responsible for the production of this TV show. First, let's start off with the Hispanic Achievers license plate. This license plate, all the proceeds go to nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Florida. You can get the first Hispanic license plate in the nation at any tag office in the state of Florida. There is a specialty plate fee that's associated with getting this plate, just like all the other plates like the Dolphin, the Orlando Magic plate, etc., etc. But remember, all the proceeds go to help Hispanic and minority nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Florida. Be proud, orgulloso de ser hispano, and get the plate on your car. Again, they're available at DMV offices. Also, you might see this around restaurants and also in DMV offices. There's a little card in here, and that card will tell you how you can get your plate if you want to order it over the website. Again, I'm Danny Ramos, and we're here on Hispanic Speak Out TV. We're here every Tuesday night, and we have some issues that we want to talk about. Most recently, I've had some comments about some of the things I've said on TV, and I stand behind all of them all the time. We've been on the air for 8 years. Nobody has challenged us legally ever for the statements we have made. Some of the statements we have made, there's always agree and there's always a disagree. Our political position is to support the Hispanic community on all issues. Some people may not agree with us, and that's fine. That's what news broadcasting is all about, to present opinion and to present different facts, and then you come to your conclusion about how you feel about the subject that we're talking about and how we're presenting it. I'm here with Dennis Freytes. Dennis Freytes is a major community leader in Central Florida. He is a retired military with honors, tremendous background in the military, excellent background on community service. And of course, I always rope him in every now and then to come on the show so he can express his opinions, which 90% of the time I absolutely agree with. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Danny. It's great to be on your show again. You're a straight shooter, and you say 90% you agree. The 10% you don't agree, you're off target. But the 90% you're on target. No,
it's still an A. Yeah. 90% is still an A.
But I think you're on target on many of your comments.
You know, I sent out an EB, and there was a lot of controversy. I had James Alfond here. He's a lawyer. And he came on to the show, and he took objection to a TV show that I did, which he was the person on the show. So all I did was quote him. You know, okay. I'm always very careful to quote people on my email blast, or I express an editorial opinion of my own. And basically, everybody had a heart attack because I said that cracking a district, the cracking of a district, is the same policies that were used by the 1930s and 1940s by the KKK. Well, everybody had a heart attack.
You don't know all of it.
Yeah. Well, cracking a district is the policies that were used by anti-minority forces in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. They would take a district that was minority, that had a majority of people that were minorities, either black or Hispanic, and then they would break up the district so that those people couldn't elect their own representative. My point was not that I didn't say he was KKK. What I said was cracking is a policy of the KKK, was a past policy of the KKK. I just wanted to straighten that out. But anyway, we're still facing this big controversy about District 3. Now, Mildred Fernandez, who was the previous commissioner in District 3, she pleaded out. I'm not sure the number of counts, but she had something like 12 or 13 counts against her, and she pleaded on, I think, 6 or 7 of them. Her sentencing is coming up, I believe, next month. Some people say that she's going to do minimal time. Some people say that she's going to get off. You know, obviously, she lost her seat in Orange County, which now, that district is now, there's a tremendous battle going on for who is going to fill Mildred Fernandez's shoes permanently. Now, Lou Damiani was appointed by Christ. He was appointed by Governor Christ, and he's in that seat.
Temporarily.
Temporarily. And now I believe that the new governor, Rick Scott,
can appoint somebody permanently.
Can appoint someone to replace him. Now, obviously,
or he can keep him there.
Or he can keep him there if he elects, you know. And obviously, with all the controversy, and that's why I have you here, because you've been attending all of these meetings, and you really, really have dissected this situation on the top, bottom, left, and right side. So what I'd like you to do is explain to me and to everybody, set the record straight. What is the controversy about this district that everybody's pulling their hair out over?
Well, this district is District 3 we're talking about. It was 41% district when Mildred Fernandez won that seat.
41% Hispanic?
Hispanic.
Okay.
And today we have what we call a minority majority, which means American Hispanics, because many people say Hispanics and they don't use the term Americans, but we are all Americans here. So American Hispanics, the larger group, with the Puerto Rican being the larger of the Hispanic group, together with the blacks, with the Asians, which are a little bit less, form what's called a minority majority. And that means that whites, non-Hispanic, per the 2010 census numbers, that the 2010 census numbers are supposed to drive the redistricting process, the reapportionment, make up only 46%. So what we're talking about is that white, non-Hispanics are 46%. Yet when they draw the districts, and we've got two proposals, which are proposals 12B, and we've also got proposal E, when they draw the districts on proposal 12B, they have made all the districts majority white districts except for the black district, which, you know, it's 35% white.
So let me get this straight. They're redoing the lines in the district, and their redefinition locks Hispanics out of being able to elect their own representative, where previously they were able to.
Yeah, because when you look at 12B, and by the way, Latino justice, we got lawyers big time on our side, to include, you know, Tony Suarez. And when you look at the proposal 12B, the District 3, which is right, I don't know if we can see it on the camera there, but it's right here, is basically went from 41% to 35%, which means the term you use, cracking the district or diluting the vote. It's happening there.
That's against the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, it is, because when you had a Hispanic candidate that won there with 41%, now they take that and turn it around and lower that percentage to 35. That's dividing, you know, the Hispanic community. So the most political empowerment, important decision for the next 10 years is redistricting, because we're not talking about let's elect a Hispanic, because we need to elect the best qualified and and give them just opportunity. We're talking about leveling the playing field, providing a just opportunity so a Hispanic could win should that person be qualified, or if, you know, we level the playing field.
Well, I don't think anybody wants somebody in a position that's not qualified. I'd hate to go into an operating room and have the doctor not qualified. And you know what's happened in government. We've elected so many people who haven't been qualified that we're in this huge mess right now with the economy. So the qualification process is very important. But I do know that there are many, many top Hispanics that are very qualified to be in this position. Yeah. And what they're doing is they're eliminating the opportunity for that person.
The opportunity. And then what they did, they took District 4, that's Commissioner Thompson's district, and added a few more percentages from 35 to 39. But it still does not, because the numbers are for to have a 50% plus district, because blacks, which are a minority, by the way, when we had the county decided to go against proposal E, that creates a 50% majority district, they went with map 12B, which favors the incumbents. They made cosmetic changes when there was a huge increase in the population. The 2010 census saw a great increase in the American Hispanic population. And then we had a black elected official saying that they were for map 12B, which is the one that does not give the American Hispanic just representation. That they had a caucus there that they wrote, and then I told, I mentioned to them.
Well, they're afraid, the black community is afraid that they're going to lose a seat.
Some of them, because we're working with we got a American Hispanic Black Alliance with the grassroots. Okay. But we've got many of their leaders, to include the Commissioner Moore, I think her name, that's black, that's the only seat. So the blacks got their seat, yet American Hispanics are a larger group, and they're elbowing them out. Like I mentioned in the Orlando Sentinel, wrote a very good piece today.
Who is behind the B proposal to reduce the population of Hispanics within the district so they cannot elect someone? There's a political mechanism behind that. What is that political mechanism?
They planned to, tweak it, but they've already voted last night.
Okay.
I mean, the county commissioners voted to accept 12B. And that map came about from, the RAC, which is the advisory, redistricting advisory committee, and we had Jose Fernandez, put that out there. He doesn't represent our Hispanic community, and we didn't have any Puerto Ricans on that RAC. But then the commissioners took that and continued on with it, and now they've approved that in the face of cracking the community, in the face of diluting the vote, in the face of dividing the community. And right now they're inviting a lawsuit.
Is there going to be a lawsuit?
Right now, Latino Justice has a dedicated lawyer to that. They're from New York, and we've talked to other lawyers, and they just can't. Latino Justice won the case in Osceola County. That's why we have Commissioner Quiñones there. So they're looking at, right now we need to see how much more they're going to tweak it, because after we talk, they're starting to increase a little bit the Hispanic community.
In other words, they can still change it. They can still adapt it.
They can tweak it, because they're going to go for a final map. They chose 12B. Then they said they're going to tweak it because of neighborhood census tracts, and then that might get us some more American Hispanics. But how do you justify American Hispanics being the largest? I hate minority. Everybody in America is a minority. We're one race, and that's a human race. And we should not judge on the color of our skins or ethnicity, but on fair merit. And when we look at the segment, I like to use the word segment of our Orange County community, the American Hispanic is the largest when you compare it to the blacks, and yet they don't have a majority seats like American blacks do. And elected officials from both sides, are all together in cracking our Hispanic community. So the term cracking is well done here, because from 41% it went down to 35%. Now on the other district they went up a few percentage, but it's not at the 50% margin that we need to politically empower our community.
Different groups tend to cluster. The black community clusters in certain geographic zones, the Hispanic community clusters. But when that community over a decade or over 2 decades reaches a point of significance, everybody wants their money. Everybody wants to do business with them, but they don't want to empower them to make governmental decisions. It's everybody lines up, buy cars here. We want Hispanics to buy cars at my place. But when it comes to electing and this kind of a situation, they get thrown under the bus.
And there are 6 commissioners making a decision on this, and there's no Hispanic at the table. They're elbowing the Hispanics out.
Are there any blacks at that table?
Yes, we have 1 black district,
in Orange County.
In Orange County, yes.
Okay.
And so that's happened in Orange County. It doesn't look too good at the schools either. I was just, I'm also, I was at the school meetings today.
What?
And 34% of the children in schools are Hispanic. 32% are whites, and then so the Hispanic is the largest group.
I'm going to ask you something. With all the leaders that we have here in Central Florida, why aren't we demonstrating?
That's a good question, and we've been,
because
a lot of people have been talking about that.
We have leaders like Tony Suarez, like Jimmy Alfont. We have a lot of chambers of commerce. Why aren't we organizing a picket in front of Orange County?
And I think most of the time is the grassroots don't know the whole story. Not too many people read newspapers nowadays, you know, so I don't think the community really has a grasp of what we're going through, the most important empowerment decision for the next 10 years. And we have to abide by the census numbers. If the census numbers shifts tremendously towards a community, then there should be it should not be a cosmetic drawing of the lines, but it should be big shifts in drawing of the lines to accommodate that, to include just representation.
Well, there's power at stake. And whenever there's power at stake, there's a battle. There. And when there's power, there's money. Yeah. So there's money and power at stake. And the whole country seems to be pedaling backwards when it comes to the middle class and the underclass economic class gaining ground. The lower economic class in this country and the middle class is losing tremendous economic and social ground in this country. We're going backwards. We're not going forwards.
Now there's a glimmer of hope, and I hope, you know, the congressional district, we also have a congressional district because Florida gained population. So Florida is getting two new congressional seats. That means some other states lost those seats because their population dwindled. So we are trying to bring one for Central Florida. And right now, talking to, you know, different state senators and state representatives, there's a good chance. There's a committee that's the Central Citizens Redistricting Council, and they've drawn a map which I support. It's only 43% Hispanic, but the numbers, you know, don't give any more than that, and we got to go by the numbers. It's compact, it's community of interest, it's really a good district. And right now the chairman, I think it's Senator Gatz, and other senators have said that they're going to take a look at that, and they're looking at it favorably because they are under a two-tier system. You have to, tier one is community access districts or race, and you have to take care of all the standards of tier one. Those are the redistricting and reapportionment laws, to include the amendments made to our Constitution on that and the 1965 Voting Rights Act. But the amendments, and then tier two is compact districts, community of interest, and so on and so forth. No gerrymandering, but that's tier two. That's secondary standards, because you have to empower those that are disadvantaged and give them a just opportunity. Not to mean that just because you're a Hispanic you should be voted in. The best qualified and merit should prevail.
Let me go back a little bit, back to the Orange County situation. Do you think Hispanic community organizations should picket Orange County? Well, offices of Orange County. I mean, I remember in the days when the Civil Rights Act, we had the Civil Rights Act because people stood out and walked the streets, or else we wouldn't have had a Civil Rights Act.
We're coming to that point because they're not recognizing that there is institutional discrimination and there is personal discrimination. And sometimes, you know, the rules that were made by a majority before are implemented to ensure that the minority or the other segments of our disadvantaged segments of our community don't get their just representation. And right now, for example, we had an article that came out, and at the county meeting, a person got up and said, a lady, an older lady, she said, well, in 2012 we're gonna need 8 seats or whatever. 1 for Hispanics, didn't say American Hispanic. 1 for blacks, no, didn't say American blacks. 1 for Asians, didn't say American Asians. 1 for Muslims, didn't say American Muslim. And 4 for us Americans. Isn't that racist?
That's a racist.
Now, why didn't the mayor who was in charge and the commissioners did not complain, did not say you're out of order? That's a racist statement. It came out in the newspaper also.
In the Orlando Sentinel?
And then we have...
Well, you know what that tells you? That's institutional racism in Central Florida.
Because they let that slip. If I was in charge of that meeting, I would have said, ma'am, that's a racist statement. You're out of order. They didn't do that, and it's in the newspaper. And then that same official, and I like the official because I mean in other areas they do good, so I don't want to. Said we don't have any discrimination here, right under their nose, and no discrimination, and that's a fact. I deal with facts.
So you don't object to pickets?
Well, you really want to pin me down.
I want to know what the next step. Look, the next step is one of two things: a legal battle, like in Osceola when they took the county to court and they beat them in federal court. Okay, and Osceola County had to spend like $3 million, which they lost in the lawsuit. Okay, or tip the wagon by getting the community out there and rallying the community to the street.
Well, I think we're going to that point. Maybe doing a demonstration starting off at the schools there. If they don't, I mean, right now I think they're still tweaking the maps, so it might be too early, or maybe that can help them tweak the maps the right way.
Well, that's my point.
And then walk from the schools to Orange County in a nice way, because we have to be passionate. But like somebody said, the passions are steered, and I said we don't only want to steer passion, but we want to steer reason, and reason means being backed up by facts, being backed up by history, being backed up, all that has happened in the past, and making sure we work for the good of everybody. I mean, family, community, everybody, and we leave no one behind.
Well, certainly this thing is moving forward, and I think right now it's on the verge, like you were saying, of having its own life. I mean, right now we have community leaders like you and Tony Suarez and James Alfont and a bunch of others that are kind of have their finger in the dike. However, we need more than that. And that's either going to be the legal aspect and a lawsuit if they don't do the right thing, because they are in violation of the 1965 Civil Rights Act. Clearly, based upon Osceola, they certainly are in violation of the Civil Rights Act. Or we have to do what they used to do. The whole country is pedaling backwards, like I said. 1% of this country right now, 1%, controls 40% of the wealth in this country. Yeah. And what's happening is people are now taking to the streets. People are like the Wall Street thing is catching fire around the country, because people are saying, hey, it's a land grab. 1% controls 40% of the wealth. That's unbelievable in this country. It's not supposed to be that way. 40% of the people in this country have no wealth. They just live paycheck food. They live from meal to meal. 40%, almost half the country lives from meal to meal. In Florida, we're facing 50% of residencies are on the water or in foreclosure. Something has radically gone wrong in the American dream.
Yeah, and we got to balance that with saying, we have a free market, we have the capitalist system, we have to provide incentives for the workers to work, and also at the same time, a lot of people invest their own capital, and they're taking a risk on their own capital. But at the same time, I agree that the market should decide that as long as we keep the market and level the playing field and provide a just opportunity for everybody,
we have a problem.
And provide the education so they can do that. The thing is that we don't want to be a socialist country, and when we're talking about class warfare,
that's what's happening right now.
Some people are trying to make it that way.
Yeah.
But the thing is to ensure we have a level playing field. Well, we have incentives, so if you produce more, you get more. There's a safety net to catch those that are truly needed. But at the same time, it has to be marketplace. I mean, that's why we have progress so much.
But the safety net
most powerful nation in the world.
The safety net is bankrupt. Okay, we have a committee of 12 who can't come to a decision on what to cut, because the cuts have to be made in social programs. It has to be cut Social Security, Medicaid.
Well,
Medicare.
that Social Security is solvent. The thing is that the federal government has raided the fund and taken funds out of Social Security.
So that means there's something.
But Medicare is another problem, because the health system is broken, and they're attacking it through the insurance.
Yeah, the insurance
and it's the high costs.
Yeah, I understand that. But the system is broken in D.C.
You're really going all over them after that.
No, I want to talk about a lot of things that bother people.
Yeah.
You know, it bothers me that, you know, we're talking about robbing money from the Social Security system to pay bills, which Congress has been giving away for the last 10 years for projects that don't mean anything. You know what I mean? And it's gotten totally out of hand. The problem that we're having right now is that we're in globalization. So what's happening? There was a guy on CNN last week. There was a company in Michigan. It was a washing machine company. I think it was Electrolux. Okay, and Electrolux announced that it was leaving it was leaving Michigan. Michigan came back, gave them free land, gave them no taxation. They wouldn't have to pay any taxes. They wouldn't have to do this. They wouldn't have to do that. The workers gave up 20% of their income and pay cuts. And the board of Electrolux left the room, came back in 15 minutes and said, "We have never seen such a great incentive package. However, we're moving to Mexico." Anyway, why? The governor asked, why? Says, because we're paying $1.57 an hour for the same labor to produce our products. And that's the problem we're having. The problem we're having is that America is being bled. Okay? We're losing the blood of this country, which is money, because labor is so cheap in other parts of the world, and the corporate process is based upon quarterly financial profits. Now, that means that the capitalistic system, which I'm for, has never reached an impasse like this.
Capitalistic market system is not a pure system.
Yeah, but it's never gotten to the point, this is the first time it's gotten to the point where large American corporations are leaving the United States to get labor in Mexico and Pakistan and India for $1.57. China owns the United States.
Yeah, it owns the debt.
I'm waiting for Obama to move the White House into China. You know, he might get reduced electric bill over that. You know, so we're in a situation that's never happened like this before, and everybody's trying to solve it. It's not, I don't see it solving. I see the situations get worse and worse and worse. I think that we're going to always be a great military power, but our communities and our social structure is going to go way down. The middle class is going to just collapse.
Well, that's why it's important that you know who you're voting for, and you vote people there that has experience, has education, has qualification, not somebody that looks good.
What are you talking about, Dennis?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You know, we always shoot here straight, so what come on. You talking about the present president?
Well...
You said he looks good, he talks good, and he has no experience.
Yeah, well, so basically, we need to do that. We need to be more conscious on who we vote into power. And also, people ask me, what are you? I said, I'm a reasonableist first. I'm not a fanatic of anybody, of anyone. I look, I reason, I research, and now with a computer you go Google anything you want, and use any search engine. Yeah. And I mean, information that's at your fingertip.
Listen, I got 2 minutes left. I still got to ask you a couple of questions. Okay, because we've covered a lot of stuff which is fun, and it's informative. It's really informative.
What about the 500 Florida discovery?
That's the second question. Are you going to run for, are you considering to run for office in Central Florida? In the coming year, next year?
I've had people ask me that.
I'm asking you right now in front of everybody.
Right now, I'm undecided if I'm going to do that or not.
But the door is open. Undecided means
I'm in a great situation.
Yeah,
I don't have to do work if I don't want to. I do what I want to do when I want to do it, and speak my mind in a diplomatic way, as often as I can.
Yeah.
And so I'm in that situation. So I'm looking at some opportunities that might come down the road.
You're talking about elected opportunities, office opportunities.
Well,
running for office. Yes?
Yeah.
Possibility.
Possibility.
Okay. I just wanted to get that out so we can put it on the table.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm glad we covered the concept about cracking the district. And certainly this has been the District 3 situation that the way you've explained it is excellent for everybody out there, because you put it right on the table. And the two options that we have left are lawsuit and also the option for demonstrations.
Demonstration,
Okay.
and they still haven't done a final decision.
You come back next week, we'll cover the other part.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the other part is the 500th discovery.
We'll dedicate the whole show
Florida.
next time. This is Danny Ramos. Thank you, Dennis, for coming on today. We will see you next week. Hispanic Speak Out TV every Tuesday night, Bright House Cable. We will see you next week. Don't forget the Hispanic Achievers license plate. We'll see you next week.